life bearable. It wasn't just that he enjoyed the mayhem, though he had enjoyed the challenge of hacking the school's computer. He was, by his very nature, a problem solver. Yet when others looked at him, all they saw was a problem. "Listen to me, Tanner," Hammond said. "When we arrive on Primordius, survival will depend on us being a close-knit community. You can't afford to be an outsider. Do you understand?" Tanner nodded, but kept his true feelings on the matter to himself. For his entire life he'd been an insider, stuck within the steel walls of a rotating drum hurtling through space. His whole world, and the world of everyone he knew, was nothing more than a small farming town shoved into a cylinder less than a mile in diameter. Once they landed, he'd truly get to be an outsider, and it would be wonderful. In Tanner's farmhouse there was a sticky note on the refrigerator from his father that read, "At the doctor's, home before dinner." The note had been there for over a year. His father's chest pain that day was not gas, as he had thought. He was not home for dinner then, and would never be home for dinner again. But Tanner kept the note on the fridge, because it kept alive the notion that his father was still on his way back. Besides, if anyone could return from the dead, it would be Tanner's father. He was a problem solver, too. Having lost his mother when he was a baby, Tanner had been on his own since his father's death, just before his 13th birthday. Now he was 14, but sometimes felt much older. Perhaps back on Earth the kid would not be allowed to be on his own, but here on T-Bin no one seemed to mind, or, more accurately, no one cared. He'd plow his 2-acre farm, plant it, and harvest it on his own. When he had water to irrigate, that is. Nowadays, between limited water and limited time, he could only work half an acre, leaving him with very little to sell or trade. Still, there were those who had less than he, which is why he always saved something to bring Marina Beausoleil and her grandfather, whose farm had failed entirely. Today, Tanner chose some choice veggies to bring them: potatoes, onions, and broccoli, which made up the bulk of his crops. Then he headed out into the hollow, cylindrical world he called home. Tanner supposed that T-Bin might appear quite impressive to someone who hadn't spent a lifetime there. On the outside, it just looked like a giant revolving tin can, but once inside, an Earth dweller would be stunned by the surreal sight of ordinary farmland clinging to the inner shell, all held in place by centrifugal force. If you looked forward, the land curved upward in front of you, and if you followed it, you'd be looking at an upside-down farm above your head, nearly a mile away, before the land came back around to meet itself behind you. The interior farming service of T-Bin was half a mile wide and 2.6 miles around. "If you laid the land out flat," the older folks would say, "it would have the exact same dimensions of Central Park," whatever that was. When Tanner was little, he used to think he could run fast enough to counteract the spin of centrifugal force and float up to the drum's center, but he learned that some forces are simply too strong to fight. Dotting the curve of farmland at regular intervals were the homesteads, cookie-cutter homes designed to look quaint except for the fact that they were all stainless steel. The main road serpentined all the way around the drum in a single squiggly loop, like a snake devouring itself, and the Beausoleil homestead was a quarter turn from Tanner's, down that main road. To get there, however, he'd need to pass the recreation zone, where he would have to endure the snipes of other kids. Sure enough, as he passed the rec zone, the usual suspects were there, including Ocean Klingsmith and his entourage, all of whom left their basketball game to taunt Tanner. Ocean was right at the top of T-Bin's pecking order, a sparkling specimen of humanity whose entire future on the new colony was mapped out for him by his family's influence. With his mother on the city council and his father in charge of water distribution, no matter what the new world was like, Ocean's life would be rosy. When he saw the bag Tanner was carrying, Ocean said, "You're more of an idiot than I thought if you're actually bringing food to the Beausoleils. I'll bet Marina's grandfather won't even survive the landing. Why waste good food on him?" Ocean, like all the clean cuts, had evolved a survival of the fittest elitism. The way the clean cuts saw it, whoever didn't rise to the top deserved to drown. "Tell you what," Ocean said, tossing his ball to one of his friends. "Forget the Beausoleils. I'll trade you some water for those vegetables." But Tanner knew Ocean all too well. He'd take the vegetables, then piss on Tanner's shoes and say, "There's your water." "Thanks, but no thanks," Tanner pushed past him, while Ocean's friends snickered. "Hey, Burgess," one of them shouted. "If you won't bathe, at least go home, put on a radiation suit, and spare us your stink." Tanner picked up the pig.